Hello everyone, welcome to the World of DePIN, where we try to explore what the buzz is all about and what's been developing in this space. Is this another hype, or it can actually bring billion users in the Web3 space? Join me as I unlock these questions with the pioneers from the Web3 space. Let's explore the World of DePIN together.
To my parents that said, hey, video games will never get you anywhere. Well, it did. Thank you. There's going to be people that appreciate the privacy and the security of it, and they're going to want to replace their iPhone for that. I remember it was a few years back when iPhone was talking about charging the 30% on crypto fees like gas, right?
How, as someone who has no idea of Web3, will still be interested in what you're building?
The whole reason was to simplify Web3 on mobile and just make Web3 mobile easy. And so, and private and secure.
Applications that are part of your daily life, like applications that are on your phone that you don't delete. And DRIFE is one of such Web3 implementation where you can book a cab using our application.
We create this AI that ends up being smarter than us. The data it's been trained on is, kind, loving, almost benevolent, right? And we get a benevolent AI entity that's smarter than us, versus the opposite would be somewhat catastrophic. So Coral Phone is a native Web3 gaming device. And so it's going to integrate all these Web3 games. And so if one of these games ends up being the Fortnite of mobile, and be able to escape the Google and Apple hegemony, anyone who appreciates decentralization, maybe they don't know about Web3, but they see what's happening with all these centralized companies that are, really controlling things with the internet and with technology and the way things are going, and they're the gatekeepers of sort. And so having a way out of that, maybe something that's not so censored, right?
Hello everyone, welcome to the World of DePIN, where we dive into the latest innovation in the cryptocurrency and the decentralized infrastructure world. I'm your host, Firdosh, co-founder and CEO at DRIFE. Today we have a special guest, Tobo, Chief Marketing Officer at CoralApp. CoralApp is making waves as the first mobile ecosystem crafter for multi-chain landscape. Welcome, Tobo, to my show.
Thank you. Well, thank you for inviting me. This is exciting.
Thank you. So for our guest, for our audience today, can you just start us telling a bit about yourself? What's your background? Where you come from? And what are you doing at CoralApp?
Sure. Yeah. So I've been in tech since 2000. I was building computers and running decentralized applications like SETI and Folding at Home, which is like basically running stuff, decentralized compute on computers. And then in 2010, I was also playing a lot of video games, and I discovered Bitcoin through that. And to my parents that said, hey, video games will never get you anywhere. Well, it did. Thank you. But yeah, so I discovered Bitcoin in 2010, and so I was in college at UCLA, and so I started mining on my laptop then, and so that was my first foray into blockchain technology and into this great adventure that we've had for the last 14 years now. But yeah, so that was my beginning in blockchain. I've seen it all, the MT Gox, all the way up through FTX. Right, I've suffered quite a few of those, and so a lot of my story has been actually not your keys, not your crypto. So, which is funny because now I have a whole bunch of like ETF stocks, right? Grayscale, and I have them all. BitB is my favorite, but the point is that not your keys, not your crypto really resonated me, and so eventually I had diversified out of crypto and started real estate and got into real estate, doing marketing for a real estate firm, and ended up going mostly full-time crypto back in 2019, and by full-time crypto, I mean like degenning, right? But what had happened is that I discovered this project CoralApp, and it really fascinated me because it was solving a major pain point that me and my friends had, and that's doing multi-chain Web3 on a mobile device. And so the solution didn't really exist. And this CoralApp, we were trying to make this happen, this ecosystem for multi-chain Web3, but the hardware wasn't there. And so what CoralApp decided was like, okay, well, we're going to make the hardware required to make this multi-chain Web3 happen, and make it easy. And so they started developing a phone. And so this is a mobile device phone that has an integrated hardware wallet, which basically keeps your seed phrase away from even the operating system. So if someone hacks the phone, they still can't get your seed phrase.
Mm-hmm.
It's still protected. They made it multi-chain, so it's kind of like Solana Saga, but it's for like all the chains, not just Solana, right? It'll work with Solana and Bitcoin and Ethereum and EVMs, and so it's gonna be really this inclusive sort of experience with mobile Web3, and with integrated app store, DApp, decentralized app store with integrated nodes, and so the phone holders get to earn money and and I had this ethos of privacy and security, which really resonated with me as someone who was like an old schooler crypto person, and so I was really attracted to this, and yeah, and so I ended up securing a position as CMO, and was super excited to get that because because I love what this company's doing, and so that's what kind of, I wouldn't say brought me out of retirement because I was not retired, but brought me out of full time crypto into a real full time crypto position that I feel feels really fulfilling. I mean, it's degening is great, and I don't want to put it down that I know people have a lot of fun doing it, but
Mm-hmm.
it was kind of stressful for me, and it's also at times it depends how you do it. It can be a zero sum game, like game theory, like um, especially with meme coins. And I really wanted to participate in something that's kind of builds everybody up instead of just like one person wins at the cost of somebody else losing. And so that wasn't really what I was looking for. And so yeah, I'm really glad I found CoralApp and super excited about what we're doing. I mean, the phone's going to start going on pre-order, I believe July 10th. So it's coming up real quick, and it's really really exciting times, and then AI. Oh my gosh! And so CoralApp was an AI company before GPT came out, and so it wasn't like, oh well, hey, let's just tack on AI. Like, no, it's actually
Mm-hmm.
been AI since before that. But the next phone is amazing. It's like a flagship AI device, has your personal assistant in the phone that runs on the
Wow.
phone, preserving privacy. The user can sell that data if they want, or they can keep it private. It just puts a lot of options in the hands of the user, and makes Web3 easy. I'm just super excited for what we're doing. But yeah, that's kind of about me and how I got into CoralApp and what we're doing at CoralApp. So
Interesting, very interesting. Actually, so I was thinking about this, like when we speak about Web3 adoption and how much of what you are building does actually matter to general public at large. I do understand that it matters to the Web3 ecosystem, the people who
mhm.
understand it, and that's a very small ecosystem that we live within. How, as someone who has no idea of Web3,
Mhm.
will still be interested in what you're building, because that's what gonna bring us adoption to Web3 as an ecosystem is people who are
Yes.
outside this ecosystem. How does it matter to me, the mobile phone that you guys are building? Why I, as a user who has no idea about Web3, should be interested in that?
That's a great question. And so, there's always been this talk about what's the killer app. And, a long time ago, it was like, oh, the ETF is the killer app. And like, oh, no,
Mm-hmm.
it's not. It helps, but it's not the killer app. And, there's a lot of people that think gaming is the killer app. And the Coral phone is a native Web3 gaming device. And so it's going to integrate all these Web3 games. And so if one of these games ends up being the Fortnite of mobile, that a Web3 game, like, there's a chance I might come on Coral app or the Coral phone by default. So, that might be one method. Also, secure peer-to-peer decentralized messaging is going to be in the Coral app. And so, I mean, we have a lot of partners that we've partnered with that are bringing really cool stuff. So, it's almost like there's a good chance that the killer app will be on the Coral phone. And so, that would be, I think, the way that um, that that non-Web3 user would find interest and discovery about the Coral phone. The other way would be the Coral flagship device, the Coral phone, the AI phone. That one is, anyone that's into AI is going to appreciate having, AI run on your device, have to be able to escape the Google and Apple hegemony. Anyone who appreciates decentralization, maybe they don't know about Web3, but they see what's happening with all these centralized companies that are, really controlling things with the internet and with technology and the way things are going, and they're the gatekeepers of sort. And so having a way out of that, maybe something that's not so censored, right? That they would be attracted to the Coral AI phone through that, and through like preserving their privacy and not leaking all this information that we leak on a daily basis using our phones, and especially with AI apps. It's a lot of us are training data for AI models, and I personally prefer not to be a training data for AI model. I'm torn on that because like there's parts of me that are like, yes, the AI model needs to see the love of humanity, right? The goodness of humanity. And so if I'm allowing my data to be trained on AI, I'm contributing to the positive element of this AI training data because, this is my own personal thought, right? This is not reflective of CoralApp, but that it's almost like we summon the AI God that we deserve, right? As a whole, as humanity. And so if we're kind and loving to each other, and that's reflected in what the AI learns about us, and then, we create this AI that ends up being smarter than us, the data it's been trained on is, kind, loving, almost benevolent, right? And we get a benevolent AI entity that's smarter than us, versus the opposite would be somewhat catastrophic. So sorry about that rant, and I
No,
figure I'll
that's
keep it
that's a very
interesting.
interesting outlook to how we see things progressing. And from there, I have another question for you about dApps being part of CoralApp. And I personally believe, because also I'm building a decentralized application myself, which is DRIFE, which is a decentralized ride-hailing platform. And if you see anything that has grown to become an application which has mass audience or billions of users, are applications that are part of your daily life, like applications that are on your phone that you don't delete. And Drive is one of such Web3 implementation where you can book a cab using our application. In your eyes, where do we see people building real world use cases, and how much of Coral app or Coral phone will contribute to that? Do we really see people getting into buying these devices additionally to the mobile phone that I have? How do you envision the future for Coral app to be like a second device that I have, or something that replaces, say, my iPhone tomorrow?
No, that's great. I see it serving as both, right? So there's going to be a certain percentage, especially Web3 users, that are going to want a second device. Maybe they have like a Ledger Stacks, or a really kind of cool hardware wallet. Well, the Coral app is kind of like a hardware wallet with a phone attached to it. So it has a lot of additional functionality beyond just a hardware wallet, and it doesn't cost that much more than just a hardware wallet. And so especially one with a nice screen, it's really an interesting play on using a hardware wallet with like additional functionality. So there's going to be certain people that will want the Coral app, the Coral phone, for that reason. There'll be people that want the Coral phone as a second device just to stay at home and run a bunch of nodes, right? Because it's going to come with nodes built into it. And so it's going to be an earning device, right? Just sitting there, it'll be an earning device. And so, they might want to buy it, and just because, the chances are it's going to make a lot more money than what it costs, and so, if you know anything about crypto. So that's one of the things, that another reason that people will be buying the phone. But there's going to be people that appreciate the privacy and the security of it, and they're going to want to replace their iPhone for that. I remember it was a few years back when iPhone was talking about charging a 30% on crypto fees like gas. right? And I was like, oh my God, I am getting rid of my phone, my Mac, like it's all out the like I was ready to ditch Apple like so fast, right? And you know, I almost did, and I'm still wary. I remember at that time I ended up buying a Google Pixel, and I wiped it and I installed like Calyx OS, which is like this privacy operating system that runs, you know, strips all the Google stuff out of there. Doesn't even have a Play Store on it, right? And so it's very anti, you know, privacy centric, I should say. It's very privacy centric, and so you know, I was like getting ready. I'm like, okay, I got to you know do something and find a landing pad, but unfortunately, Apple didn't pursue that policy. But if they had, or and they might in the future, you know, you never know with these companies. Then you know the Coral phone provides an alternate to that. We need something else. It's almost like the Americans want like a third president opportunity, somebody to vote for besides the two people that are there, right? Like none of them really, you know, for a lot of us, none of them really check the boxes that we're looking for. And so, you know, we're looking for a third applicant, and the call phone is that device that people want and need. And even if they don't know that they want and need it, as soon as they discover that they want and need it, like, oh wow, this is it, right? And then if they go searching for it, they'll find us.
Can in simple term, I can say this that Coral phone is an hardware wallet, but it's a smart hardware wallet, and I can do more than just storing my crypto, like where I can like see all the decentralized app that can become part of my hardware wallet, and I can like contribute to different level, be it, you know, sharing my data, location, and other aspects that I can do and earn on top of that. Is it right to say that?
Yeah, you know that is right. In fact, it's the AI version is going to be amazing. The AI will be trained on Web3 functionality, so it's like an AI hardware wallet where you can ask your you know assistant to like, hey, when Solana gets to $200, like sell it, right? And you can sign that transaction, and then you don't have to worry about it. So it's like it's even better than a hardware wallet because it's a smart hardware wallet, like you said. Yeah, it allows a lot more functionality than just a simple hardware wallet. The whole reason was to simplify Web3 on mobile and just make Web3 mobile easy. And so, you know, and private and secure. Yeah.
Interesting, very interesting. I like the fact that, you know, maybe one day my AI can tell me at what point I should sell my tokens. And then I
Yeah,
don't have to worry about it and keep looking at the
right.
charts.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. Exactly. Another thing that I have in my head, and this is something that I keep asking a lot of founders that I meet and people who are building multi-chain product. What are the common misconception about building something that is multi-chain?
So, oh, that's a good question. I guess the common misconception about something that's multi-chain is it's not going to be good at any of them, right? Like jack of all trades and master of none,
Exactly.
and or you know, and so I'd like to push back on that because
Mm-hmm.
when you build multi-chain, you get to pick the best versions of each thing and pull that into your app. You know, so you know the best version of the Uber, right? You pull that into the app, or the best version of eBay. You're not stuck on just one chain, and so you know, I think being stuck on one chain like the Solana Saga, which is I have a Solana Saga, I have the Gen one, and I pre-ordered the Gen two. You know, it's a good device, and it's great for Solana, and not that great for other chains, you know. And so, as long as what you're trying to do is something on Solana, it's a good device to have.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, if you're trying to do Web3 on something else, I mean, I'd rather just use an iPhone, you know, basically on and any other chain. It's just, yeah. So I think that's what Web3 on multi-chain allows a lot more diversity. and functionality, because the builders aren't building on the same chain. They're building on
True.
the chain that works best for them. And that's the other thing about being chain agnostic, is that different chains have different strong points. Kind of like where water flows downhill at like the easiest path, right? A chain that maybe wants to do DeFi needs really fast transactions and not as much security. Like that's gonna move. They're gonna move towards like chains like Solana, maybe real fast finality, and where something that wants to secure trillions of dollars worth of value, right? My idea is that's probably going to move towards like Ethereum, most likely Bitcoin, right? The most secure blockchain in the world, right? The most secure piece of software in the world, Bitcoin. And so, so each chain has its own strong point, and by having a multi-chain experience, you get to use the chains that are leveraging the benefits of the chain that's very best for them. And so the end result is that the user gets the best version of the app that they're seeking.
Interesting. Another question now, this is unrelated to the business, but it is more personal. You come from a lot of experience, have seen the Web 2 world, Web 3 world, as compared to us, very young who only has seen Web 3 world and been working on the Web 2 world. I always like when I meet people from Web 2 and Web 3, see a difference of approach of
Mm-hmm.
how someone approach a problem in the Web 2 world and in the Web 3 world, and also how fast paced is the Web 3 space. How do you deal with that? Have you seen that difference yourself, because you have spent a lot of good time in the Web 2 world yourself?
Mm-hmm.
How you will compare both of that experience?
It's that's a good point. Web 2 world's kind of like you're on a sailboat in the middle of the ocean. It's giant and it's wide and it's vast. It's been there, and you can get to where you need to go and use the sails, and you know what's going to happen. Web 3 is almost like surfing on a wave, right? Because there's so much technological change. It's always changing, and you got to like kind of stay ahead of it. Otherwise, you get flipped around and toss underneath, and you're like, oh
True.
gosh, I got to swim back out again. So I guess that's a good little metaphor for it. But the beauty of it is that because there's so much change, and innovation in Web3, it presents a lot of opportunity, right? Because where if you're in the path of progress, going back to real estate, like when I want to buy real estate, I want to buy real estate in the path of progress. If there's a city that's expanding or they're going to be renovating an area, like I want to buy real estate in that area because that's in the path of progress. And that as the city expands, like I'm going to be in that area that they're going to, and then what I purchase is going to go up in value accordingly. And so there's this thought that if you're in the path of progress, that you get to benefit from economically as this expands and grows. If you get into something early, whether it's a Web 2 company or Web 3 company that is expanding and becoming adopting more users and getting more market share, right? If you can get into that early, typically you're going to make a lot more money than if you invest in a Google or an Amazon or something that's been around a long time and really like already has its roots, and it's just kind of like this old tree. So there's a lot of potential and innovation, and it's exciting. I mean, I remember when I first started blockchain, I could read everything that happened in blockchain in like an hour, right? And then I've got everything that happened, like all the new stuff. And now like I can't all day long, I can't even like read about everything that happened in like just one niche, like gaming. Like that's it. Like forget about it. There's just so much happening. There's so much innovation. It's kind of exciting, but I know I can understand how they could be so overwhelming, which is one of the reasons that, once again, I'm like, I love the Coral phone because it looks to make it easy. It looks to make Web3 easy, just simplify it, to get the difficult stuff out of the way and just make it really simple and easy and safe for the user. And so, yeah, that's, one of the reasons I really like this phone company, because well, it's more of an ecosystem than a phone company. Like the phone is a means to the end, right? That's the only
Mm-hmm.
reason we're making the phone, because it didn't exist. To create the Web3 experience that we wanted to give the user, we had to make the device, because there was no device that would do this. And so, so I think, as people start to realize the benefit of decentralization, right, and of privacy, this is going to increase as AI continues to infiltrate our life. right? And we start seeing the negative side effects of losing privacy and the negative side effects of centralization, that I think that people will further discover decentralized applications and the decentralized technology that allow them to gain the power back. And so, I think that's something else that'll be driving things.
Nice, nice. Another thing that I have in my head is,
Mhm.
what is your opinion about this thing that we keep hearing is billion users for Web3 ecosystem? Is this a far-fetched dream or fast approaching reality? And how do you think, if it is something that can become reality, you guys at CoralApp will contribute to that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think it's both, right? I remember, 10 years ago, a billion users was like, oh gosh, I can see that, but like, how, why? Why would a billion people? The only like real reason was like money transmitting. Like, you want to send money to another nation, doing remittance, like, okay, Bitcoin solves this. But now there's so much building going on, so many unique use cases for Web3 that the companies are making, that it's just an inevitability. One of these is going to be the killer app, that it's somebody's going to build it, and the rest of the world's going to go, wow,
Wow.
that is really cool. I want to do that. I want to use it. How can I,
Mm-hmm.
get me into that? I don't care that it's Web3, and they may not even know it's Web3, but it's going to be something that'll drive people socially to a decentralized Web3 sort of ecosystem. And so, and the other thing is that there's decentralization is the future. It allows you to escape the hegemony of, like, not only the large Web 2 companies, but also, freedom from government, right? If you can hold your own assets on your phone, then it doesn't matter if the bank closes up and says, no, you can't take the money out, or
Mm-hmm.
if the interest rate of the local, currency just inflates to crazy numbers, because it doesn't matter, because you're holding an asset that's separated from that and on your own device. Like, there's no counterparty risk. There's no centralized agency, no government to have to trust about it. It's, it's between you and the rest of the world, basically. And so, it allows an escape path from a lot of the shenanigans that are going on in this world. And the other thing is that there's a lot of people in this world that don't have a first world experience, right? They're having a second or third world experience as they go about their day-to-day lives, and there's a lot of suffering that's involved with that. But with the people that aren't making a lot of money and have a lot of money in this world, being able to earn money from a phone is almost like a magical idea, right? And so one of the things that CoralApp is doing, like, yes, we're going to have the mid-tier device, we're going to have the flagship device. We're also going to have an inexpensive device that will be able to, get out to the rest of the world that maybe can't afford, $499 for a Web3 phone, right? Or $699 or $1,500, right? For a super flagship version. They'll be able to get in on a cheap device that allow them to earn money, and maybe have that killer app, as well as, like, be able to have a Web3 phone. And so, store their wallet securely in a way that they don't have to trust anybody else with their money. And so, be able to collect their money directly instead of having to go down to the Western Union and collect it from there, where, oh, they couldn't get it because there's a limit, and their family sent them $1,500 worth, and the store only accepts 1,000 cap, and so now they didn't get any money, and it takes 3 weeks for the person that sent it to get the money back. And so there's a lot of problems that decentralization and Web3 solves, and just it makes things easier. And so, especially with the Curl phone, like, we're looking to make it really easy. And so that's how we can see this expanding to a billion users, especially if we're onboarding, the rest of the world, like, not just the first world countries, but the people that are, suffering from lack of access to banks, lack of access to, monetary mechanisms that we in the first world kind of take for granted. And so, I think that those, combined with the killer app, is what's going to lead us to this billion users. And a billion users, I'm like, no, that's just like a benchmark along the way. Like that's just the first hurdle in this race, right? Or maybe
That's
the
true.
ETF was the first hurdle, right? So there's so much more that's coming because I envision eventually everyone's going to want to have a Web3 access point. Like it's like, oh yeah, like just like everyone has a cell phone today, right? Just about everyone, or at least everyone wants a cell phone. Like eventually everyone's going to want a Web3 cell phone. Like that's just going to be the normal thing. And so,
Correct.
it's an inevitability. It's just a matter of time.
Interesting. My last question for you today is what is exciting happening at CoralApp and what does the future look like? Is there any exciting updates coming in your roadmap? How does the future look like for you guys?
Yeah. So yeah, we're getting ready for our pre-orders for the mid-tier phone, right? So that's really exciting. I think that starts July 10th.
Wow.
And there's whitelist for that. The first 6,000 are going to sell at $499, and then the remaining 14,000 will sell for $699 out of that first batch of mid-tier phones. And then after that, we're going to be doing pre-orders on the AI phone, which the chip for that isn't even out yet, so we can't make it yet, but it's going to be cutting edge with the newest stuff. And then like I said, the inexpensive phone for the rest of the world to be able to have, or just someone just wants to have a cheap hardware wallet, they'll be able to do that with the lower tier phone. And so just growing the decentralized world, right, and providing an entry point into Web3 that's easy and simple and allows people to experience decentralized apps and the whole decentralized technology. That's really exciting to me because for too long we've been relying on these centralized agencies and centralized companies and under the thumb of them with what they want, and no matter what it is, we have to comply. And so having a decentralized solution is a great opportunity, and I can't wait to see what the world brings of this as we get towards those 1 billion users. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tobo, for sharing your
Thank you.
insights and experience with us. It's been a pleasure to have you on the show. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning into World of DePIN. Stay tuned for more episodes where we continue to explore the cutting edge things happening in the cryptocurrency and in the world of DePIN. Thank you so much.
Thank you everyone for tuning in today. I hope you enjoyed the episode and have an understanding that DePIN is not just another buzzword. See you in the next episode. Till then, keep exploring the world of DePIN.